Without further ado, allow me to welcome our acclaimed and admired speaker of tonight, Professor SaiSatish Vedam. Professor Vedam is a senior faculty director of programs at the Institute of Product Leadership and was most recently the director of products at Oracle. A very warm welcome to you, Professor Vedam. We are absolutely thrilled to have you with us tonight. Kindly take the session forward.
Thank you, Shama. Good evening, and good evening, all of you. Can you enable the video for me, please?
Oh,
so
yes.
I can turn on my video.
Right. Right, sir. You can switch on your video now.
Thank you so much. Again, it is Friday evening. I think usually in many parts of India, especially in Bangalore, we know where we spend Friday evenings. But thanks to the current pandemic situation, it looks like we have more important things to do. And I'm glad to see so many of you joining here, and happy to take any questions and give my perspective, share my learnings in my 23 plus years of industry career, of which I spent half of the time in product management, leading global products for global customers. I've had the privilege and fortune of working with some amazing companies, building some incredible products that touch pretty much a lot of people's lives today. So along the way, I met many people who want to transition into how do I get into this role? What is required to get into this role, right? I'm an engineer, I'm a business analyst, and I come from telecom industry or whatever industry it is. How is it possible? What steps do I take to do that? So while I talk to so many of them, I learn a lot, and that is why I'm interested here and my presence here, especially to learn from all of you, from your perspectives, from your questions. So feel free, don't hesitate, keep this conversation going. I know there is always that one person who will start that conversation, and then we see a series of questions. But please go ahead and ask any questions about product management, roles, responsibilities, different types of companies, how they pursue it, and how do you get there? What are the key things that are important? So, fire away.
Audience, you can go ahead and ask your questions now. You can raise your hand and I shall unmute you for asking questions. So do not shy away, guys. This is going to be a good session. Let's keep it interactive. So we have one question in the Q&A window to start with. Could we take that?
Yeah, sure.
So this is from Jyoti. She asks us, what is the exact role of a product manager in an organization company? Which skills he has to play at each stage of product development?
So good question, Jyoti. And again, congratulations. You're the first person to ask a question. I'm sure you open the doors for other people. So there are many, many definitions of a product manager role and responsibilities, right? There are cliched phrases like a product manager is a CEO of a product, a custodian of a product, a representative of customer, an ambassador of the customer, a lot of definitions. But in my view, a true product manager's role is a customer facing and business decision making role, right? So as a product manager, you are constantly involved in making the decisions around the product, whether to build that product, how should you build it, why should you build it, what market problem are you solving, who are your customers that you are solving this for. Along the way, getting into product development, where the discussions with the product team, engineering team, marketing team, design team, all of these things, small decisions and very important decisions, right? Including things like, we have 20 things to do, which one should be prioritized, which one should be focused, and why something is more important than the other, right? And of course, depending on level of the product management you are in, at a certain stage, you will start working very closely with product marketing teams, because now that you have built this product, hopefully it solves a market problem. How do you communicate that to your customers? How do you reach out to those customers and communicate all of that value, right? And of course, various companies have slightly different variations of it. In some cases, product managers are responsible for pricing. In some cases, product managers are responsible for strategy. And of course, there are different grades and levels in it. But essentially, I would summarize a product manager is somebody who is a customer facing and business decision making role in the context of products, right? So by the way, what I would like to do normally in this Q&A is use that question as an anchor and go a little broad and cover many other areas, so that other people who may have related questions that also get answered. So hopefully that gave you that answer, Jyoti. The second part of your question is, what are the skills that are required? Now, this is a very important question, because the way that I want you to think about, all of you, is most of our responsibilities and roles falls in three groups. What I call it as innovation context, customer context, and a business context, right? Innovation context is where a lot of people from the development background or engineering background, people who build solutions background come from, right? Which means, how do I come up with an innovative solution, improved solution, and solve a problem that was given to us? A customer context is essentially trying to understand who is the customer that has this need or the problem for them, that we want to create a product to solve it. And that's a very different skill than actually building that solution for that product. And that skill is so important that often people ignore it and build something that no customers want, right? And that's where you keep hearing 7 out of 10 startups fail, or 8 out of 10 startup fails. The primary reason, if you look at the good studies, the number one reason is you have built something that customers don't want. And hence that customer context become extremely important. And there are several skills within that, what we call as customer discovery, problem validation, and then understand the value that you want to create. So that's the customer context. The third one is a business context, which means if we want to build something, if you want to create a product to address a market need or to solve customers' problems, is it better for us to do it, or is it better to partner with somebody, or is it better to buy, right? The build, buy, partner decisions. Or how are we going to take this to market? How are we going to position this to the market? How are we going to price this in the market? If we price it this way, what is how is our revenue model going to be? Are we going to do a licensing? Are we going to do transaction based? Are we going to do subscription based? There are 14 different types of revenue models that exist, right? So these decisions become important. And finally, in the business context, you have what is called as product strategy. Now, all of those are not necessarily required for every product manager. It really depends on where you fall on that spectrum and the grades. But for all of, for every product manager, there's one absolutely critical skill. And that is ability to communicate, ability to present and tell a compelling story, because all the time you as a product manager are trying to influence people to make the decisions in the context of this product. So I can go on and describe 22 skills that are required for a product manager. By the way, there are 22 skills and competencies, but in broad categorization, these are the three areas that fall in. So I know I've taken a little longer, but hopefully many of your questions are answered here.
Right, sir. So we'll take this next question from Dhiren. I'm going to allow him to talk now.
Sure.
Hi, Dhiren. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Good evening, SaiSatish sir.
Hey, good evening, Dhiren. How are you?
I'm all good. So, sir, my question is, if someone wants to enter into the digital innovation area,
Yeah.
for example, products or something like that. So I am good with ideation. I have not worked in the technical area, but I can come with, okay, how the product should work, what should we make, what will be used and everything. So according to you, if someone like me who is a novice wants to enter this domain as a product innovation or something like that, how should I follow the path?
Okay, I'm going to assume few things, because this can go in different directions, multiple directions. But let me assume that you want to be in a role where you can make decisions in the context of digital products, right?
Yes.
Now, these digital products are very interesting, right? Of course, for the last few years, we've been seeing a spurt of digital products all around us, and they have some very distinct characteristics compared to non-digital products, right? And one of the most important thing in that digital products is we can actually instrument these products to collect enormous amount of information and data, either about the usage of these products or reach of these products, what we call as acquisition, engagement, retention, all of this information, right? Now, what is the use of collecting that information or instrumenting that product to get that information? It is to make data informed decisions, right? So that is the number one advantage of a digital product, which is you are not guessing anymore, but you actually have information and you need to slice it and dice it to make some patterns, understand it, and make some decisions. And what do you mean by decisions, right? There are numerous decisions. For example, we actually thought that this particular feature in the product will help our customers, but let's actually see now, right? How many of them are actually using that particular feature that we put in? Now the data can tell you that, right? And then you can make a decision, stop investing in that particular thing, and let's prioritize or focus on something else. So that's the nature of the digital products. Now, if you, Dhiren, if you want to work in a digital product that uses technology, right, which is most of the digital products use underlying technology stacks, it is important for you to have some understanding of technology. Some understanding in the sense, I would even suggest working understanding of technology, right? Otherwise, what will happen is, it's not that you can't be a good product manager in that context, but it is all the time you're going to be collaborating with the teams who are immersed themselves in technology, right? It could be the development team, architects, and QA team, and testing, all of that, right? And of course, you'll work with designers and leadership team. So in this context, it is important that you should have some working knowledge of technology, but that doesn't mean that you have to be a programmer, you have to be an engineer, or you should have that background. I personally don't think that that is required, and because I've hired many product managers who don't come from a technical background, because I already have many of them with technical background. I want somebody who brings the customer context and the business context to me. So in your case, or many people in that case, if you're not from a technology background, what is important is, if you're going to be in a role of a product manager or a product leader for a technology product, it is expected that you have a good handle on those technologies. You don't have to build anything, but you should have that technologies. In that case, first and foremost, of course, is understand and acquire the skills that are related to the three contexts that I talked about, right? The innovation in the business and the customer context part. And these technical skills, of course, keep changing, because rapidly changing technology. Every 3 months there's a new thing coming up, and somebody gets excited about it in the company. They start experimenting and testing it out, which means you should have a pulse on it, but don't spend way too much time into that. So the skills on the product skills and product mindset is way more important than spending enormous amount of time in the technical skills. So that's a quick summary. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dhiren, for that question. So we'll take the next question from Karthik.
Yeah.
Karthik, please go ahead and ask your question. Okay, no, we are going to ask Kevna to ask our next question.
Okay.
Kevna, are you online?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hi, Kevna.
Hello. Hi. Hey, so I have a quick question, because you started this conversation, and this is going back and forth, understanding that product management is like the new, has been in the industry for so long, and coming from a BA background, I'm trying to understand, and even you started this conversation by saying the customer focus, and that kind of leads me to customer experience, UI, UX, or CX, instead of just the user, the brand experience. So my question is, out of all the three factors, and obviously data comes into picture, because nothing in this life works without data, and there is nothing. So when you say all of this needs to be there for someone that has been in the industry for so long, what is an ideal thing to focus on? Because when we come into product management, or when we look for product management, there is, even on the website itself, there is a flex program for UI UX, and there is another flex program for data analytics, and there is a general program management practice. And so what is the way to focus on this? Because nothing comes without a customer and nothing comes without data. So is the product management?
I think it is. It looks like so the CX is a very broad area. There is no such thing as a skills in CX, right? Customer experience is essentially every function in an organization reorienting themselves, reorienting the focus towards customer and customer experience. So I've spent 6 years in Oracle CX business unit, right? Customer experience.
Right.
CX in that sense, in general, the industry sense, is very different than what I'm specifically talking about in a customer context. Now, in the context of products, the customer context typically falls, as I said, in 3 areas. One is what we call as customer discovery, problem discovery, and problem validation, right? These are the most important things, because if you ask a very simple question, why does a product exist? I'm sure you have products in front of you, right in front of you, a computer, a mobile phone, a water bottle, a chair, whatever it is, right? The sole purpose of this product is obviously there is a need or there is a problem, and this product solves it. Now, there are many products to solve that need. Some solve it better, some solve it not so better. And hence you have the opportunity to create innovative and creative and better, faster, cheaper products, right? So that is a fundamental premise. And customer discovery, problem discovery, and problem validation means trying to figure out what is the real need for this customer who is trying to solve something, who's trying to accomplish something in their context, in their day-to-day, right? And then you come up with defining. Now, this is quite similar when you put that in a design context. Now, designers also approach this in the context of design thinking, user-centered design, and all of that, right? So now in the context of product, we mainly focus on the problem and the customer so that we quantify the market opportunity to make a decision on whether we should build this or not. So three things that questions are asked in that context of products. Is the problem real? Is the problem worth solving? Is the problem urgent? Now, this worth solving thing is very important, which designers don't care about. Product managers have to, because it is quantification of the opportunity, market opportunity that you have. And it requires 7 skills to get to that, right? Competitive analysis, market sizing, financial modeling. So these are some of the things that you put together to convince yourself and your stakeholders to say, it is worth investing in this. It is worth building this. So that's the customer context part of it, right? Now, coming to the programs that you talked about, I'm assuming that you are referring to the IPL programs that are there on the website. So if you look at it pretty clearly, and I'll give a really quick overview of each of them. Is the first one is an executive MBA program in product leadership, right? Now, that is a comprehensive 18-month UGC approved degree program for senior professionals on working weekends, right? So it's an alternate weekend program. It's a campus program. So it's in partnership with universities. The classes happen in campus. And so the faculty comes to the campus and the students come to the campus every alternate day. And there is facilitation, there is peer discussion, there is case studies, there is demos, there is presentations, and all of that happens, right? That is for product leadership. The other program that is there is called ICPM Flex, which is the International Certification Program Flex. Now, the Flex basically there, and the UX Flex indicates that it is self-paced, decoupled from duration, and decoupled from location, meaning that the program is designed for 5 months, with 5 core courses that are required for everyone to be a successful product manager. And while it is designed for 5 months, you can take it up to 10 months to do it because it's self-paced program. And the program has live weekly sessions by faculty, and these are remote sessions, meaning you can join from anywhere, right? So for so there are 5 skills, 5 courses, mapped to 5 courses. And in that, the way that these skills are done is every program, by the way, in IPL follows a very simple and very important approach called learning by doing, right? Because we don't believe that you can acquire any skill just by watching a bunch of videos or reading some blogs and articles. You need to apply that knowledge in the context of a product or a project or an idea for you to know whether you've actually acquired that skill or not. So every program that you see, including EMBA, ICPM Flex, ICUX Flex, is a dedicated program, focused program, specifically for making full stack designer, right? Now, what is a full stack designer? Essentially, the industry calls a full stack designer is somebody who not just knows about user experience and UI design, which is UX and UI design, but product design and business design, right? So these are 3 important elements for you to differentiate yourself from the designers that are out there. So these are the different programs. Did I answer your question? And by the way, all these programs, one very important thing to note is the faculty who actually facilitates this, right? Teaches this, covers topics and all. They're all industry practitioners. They're all working as senior leaders in their own companies, doing exactly what they are coming and talking and facilitating and teaching, right? People who teach product marketing is head of product marketing, faculty who teaches business finance, ex-CFO of a company, and head of design. So all these people have the day jobs and they do this and they come back. And because, at this stage, it's very important to understand that while there are theories, frameworks, concepts, and all of that, somebody who has been living through it come back and tell you this is how it works in the real world, right? So that pragmatic discussion and knowledge is very important. So
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Kevna. So we'll take the next question from Pranav.
Yeah.
Pranav, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Hello, sir. This is Pranav. I'm a recent engineering graduate from Pilani, by the way. So, yeah, so I'd like to actually, my career is in a sort of dilemma right now because I just enrolled for the ICPM Flex program. I'll be starting the program in December. Yeah, so I am going to pursue strategy or finance masters from a business school abroad. So I will be going abroad in let's say June or fall of 21. So how would ICPM Flex actually help me? Because I would like to study strategy and finance, but I'd like to get a PM product based job in strategy consulting or else in mergers and acquisition, that sort of thing.
Okay, good. By the way, hi, I'm from Pilani too, Pranav. Of course, more than two decades ago. But I think the important question, and by the way, I wish you all the best to go to a B school and study strategy and finance. Now, it's very important to understand that strategy is not one thing. Strategy is many things. There is something called corporate strategy, and there's something called product strategy, right? Corporate strategy is essentially, if you look at it, the C-level executives or senior vice presidents, they are the one who are essentially discussing, how do we take the company forward? What direction should we do? And if we need to reach this goal, what are the specific things that we need to do? Should we acquire companies and build our customer base or growth or revenues or brand, right? Those are all part of corporate strategy, including acquisitions, mergers, and all of those. Now, product strategy is essentially a set of products or a single product where a product leader is now looking at and saying, how do we position this existing product to new markets, or how do we build a new product for that new market, right? So in the context of product strategy, before you even get to the product strategy stage, it is absolutely important for you to understand, what is the whole business of products? How do we even think about products? What do we build? What are the stages that are involved? What are the series of steps that are involved? What are the skills that are required to take a business idea or a product idea all the way through different stages to the market, right? Now there is, interestingly, while I'm talking about stages or phases, in today's world, everything is a feedback loop, right? Everything is agile, which means you decide, you believe you have certain set of customers who have certain problems or needs, but you need to validate them. So you create an experiment, you take it to market and validate that, come back, learn, iterate, and take it forward, right? Earlier, it used to be very different. Somebody used to sit in B school. Everybody, by the way, everyone who goes to B school used to do this, which is write a business plan, which is a 150-page document that nobody ever reads. Why? Because the whole document is full of assumptions and nobody is willing to test those assumptions. And that old strategy, old way of doing that is no longer applicable. Even today, lots of good business schools are coming up with doing this. So these particular ICPM Flex course, with its core product skills that are required for you to manage products, to make decisions in products, is an absolute bare minimum for you to get into product strategy, if you will, if you want. So 101, if you want to look at it that way. Yeah.
All right, sir. Am I audible now, sir?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. So one more question I wanted to ask is, so when I actually enrolled in the ICPM Flex program, people from IPL told me that I'll be having a career support.
Yes.
Can you emphasize about that too?
I'm glad you asked. I think it's a very, very important aspect of any program, anywhere you enroll, right? Any learning, especially if your intent and one of the outcomes is career transition, right? Transitioning from one role in one company to a different role in a different company, or a different role in the same company. Career transition is an important goal. And towards that, it is not just enough if we learn the skills and if we, have these, faculty discussions, work on assignments and everything. What is really important, and especially I'm sure many of you have realized this, and I had realized this several years ago, is betting your career transition on a resume these days is a very bad idea, right? Because you spend enormous amount of time decorating your resume with all these skills, with all these buzzwords, phrases, keywords, and everything, because just look around you in LinkedIn or Naukri or anywhere. When a job posting is made, within hours there are hundreds of resumes submitted to it, right? So it is not practical for anyone in that company to actually sit through and scan through those resumes, because I've been there, I've been on the other side, and my HR team was on the other side. So what typically these HR teams do is they actually create bot filters. They use filters, right? And to beat that, everybody is adding keywords to your resumes. So now how are you going to differentiate with that, right? So hence IPL strongly believes that whether you have a title of a product manager or not in your past resume, the hiring for product manager should happen based on display of skills, because it's a strategic role, and there are a lot of awesome people with product skills, but unfortunately don't have the title of a product manager. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't get an opportunity. So in IPL, there's something called Career Club, right? IPL Career Club. So in that Career Club, hiring managers from the industry, not HR, not L&D, not talent people, but hiring managers come to IPL to hire from this talent with a fundamental premise that I'm going to give a product challenge to these interested candidates and give them 2 days time, and they will come back and present to me on that challenge, and then I will shortlist, evaluate, and make offers. Right? So that's basically, it's an event called Talentathon that happens, and it happens regularly. I believe in the month of September alone, there were 7 companies that came and hired from people from here. So it's a regular activity. It's been going on for years now. So that's a great platform for anyone who is part of these programs. By the way, any programs in IPL get access to, right? So literally 2,200 plus alumni have passed through various programs in IPL. There are many of them are senior leaders in the company. Many of them come back to hire from participants who have done these programs in IPL, and they come and not look at your resume much, but look at how you apply that skill, how you demonstrate that skill on a given product challenge. So hopefully I gave you enough information now, Pranav, Now, if you already enrolled into the program, you should just go and join the career club.
Can I ask you one more question?
So
Pranav, I'm so sorry to cut you short there.
So by the way, Pranav, just since you're already in the program, do you know there is unlimited one-on-one coaching for the participants? So you should take advantage of that, right?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Right. So we'll take our next question from Anjali.
Yeah.
Anjali, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello. So, sir, I have 8 years of experience in a QA. Currently, I'm in a QA. So I want to be when I work with product managers and I work with the tech dev teams. So I have more interest into the product things. So currently I started working within my organization into the product, but I want to know that, like, from being a QA background, do industry will accept me? Because whenever I see any openings or anything, it is basically into development coming product or something like that.
No, honestly, Anjali, it really doesn't matter whether you come from QA or development. Now, some organizations, see, product manager role in India, especially, by the way, had become a progression path, a career progression path for a lot of engineering people who don't want to become engineering managers, right? Many of you will see that in companies, the career path that is provided is you work as an engineer, senior engineer, lead engineer, architect, whatever it is, and then what, right? And many companies say, oh, you can become a people manager, or you can become the title is engineering manager, but all they do is manage people, right? Now that role is disappearing, by the way. But a lot of people who want to still continue the association with technology, with products, and interested in building products, not just now building solution, but even making, as I said before, decisions around products. Should we build this or not? What is this product going to be? For whom are we doing all of that? And they naturally gravitated towards the product manager roles. So that doesn't mean that you need to have an engineering degree or a developer or anything, right? As I said, all you need is, number one, in these three contexts that I talked about, equip yourself with the right set of skills, right? And when I say skills, believe me, I'm not just talking about, as I said, reading some book, watching some video and say, I know this. You need to be able to solve this, apply those skills in that context. Now, once you have that, what is really important to make the transition, if you're not from these any of these cliched roles, is ability to build a portfolio. You should, all of you, irrespective of what you do, whether you join a program or not, it's very important to flip a career strategy. Don't bet, as I said, I'll repeat it again, don't bet your careers on resumes. Instead, start building a product portfolio. Now, you might, for designers, it is common. They know what this is, design portfolio. But what is a product portfolio? Well, exactly the same thing. The product thinking and product skills like customer discovery, problem discovery, validation, value proposition design, competitive analysis, pricing, strategy, go-to-market, all of these things are skills. Now, you can actually build a portfolio on these things, all these skills. So, Anjali, the short answer for you is, acquire the right set of skills, build a portfolio using those skills, and you will be completely differentiated, and you will differentiate yourself from the other people who say that they are coming from development into product management. So being a product manager does not require you to be a developer, period. There are many examples of it. In fact, I hired 60 plus people in my career, and I've had very few developers because, I already had developers who can give me that insights.
Okay, thanks.
I hope that answers your questions, Anjali.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. We are loving the enthusiasm, guys. Great energy. So we're going to take the next question from Sanchit. Sanchit, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, I'm Sanchit. I have been working as a project manager, grown up into a portfolio manager role. And all this while, I've been looking at various projects and development from the business angle. So I've been in the financial technology for a very long time, and I have my own ideas about the product development. So my sheer passion, of building out a new product has actually, caught me, caught my eye towards this, course. Now my question is, should I look for a product manager's training, or building up skills in that segment, or should I look for an entrepreneurial development program?
No, it's a great question. I will answer this in a very simple way. Every entrepreneur is a product manager, and every product manager is an entrepreneur in a corporate setting. Now, there are some advantages and disadvantages of being an entrepreneur in a company. The advantages are, of course, you don't have to worry too much about the resources, because the number one thing that constrains any entrepreneur is time to market and the resources that are available to get to the time to market, right? So in a large company, a lot of that is cushioned, but essentially you are betting on somebody else's money, right? The stakeholders, the sponsors, or everybody. So my response to your question is, if you have already made up your mind that you are going to build something on your own, become an entrepreneur, create a product, take it to market, and probably even along the way create a company, hire people and do that, whether it is entrepreneur or product manager, the first set of things are absolutely the same. Now, on what differentiates an entrepreneur, and in my experience, because I've been a two-time entrepreneur and I failed miserably and I've learned a lot of lessons, so I can tell you what not to do, by the way, if you're getting to that, is fundamentally the entrepreneurial spirit, which means you have to be a different person to be an entrepreneur. The skills are the same. A lot of the entrepreneur skills are the same. Of course, as an entrepreneur, you will be doing pretty much everything, including sales, marketing, finance, and all of those things. But because of that context, it brings out who we are truly as individuals. So entrepreneurs typically that I've seen people who succeed are the one, or even multiple attempts, is the people with grit, with perseverance, with unabashed optimism. Right? These are the people, and those are the ones that differentiate the entrepreneurs from the rest. But when it comes to the product thinking or customer thinking and customer focus and building a solution, the core set of skills remain the same. So product manager skills and entrepreneur skills, in my view, at least at the beginning stage, are absolutely same and are required. So it doesn't matter whether you actually take an entrepreneur course or this. Now, entrepreneur's course is very useful in a context when you want to know how to raise money, right? How to position your product, or how to make that pitch, and how to get some traction and all of those things, so that you go to an investor and that 6 minutes, 7 minutes, you make that right pitch and hope that you get that, right? So the type of courses, I found it very helpful. But when it comes to deciding whether your idea is worth building or not, and how do you want to build out that idea by de-risking a lot of these things, you can choose any of those, either product manager or entrepreneur. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for your
Thank you,
guidance.
Sanchit. Okay, so Archana, I'm going to unmute you now. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello.
Hi, Archana.
Hi. Thank you for such an informative session.
Sure.
I have a couple of questions. One is basically, what paths do you suggest from UX to product management? And second is, what kind of courses do you have that would enable that path? Thank you.
Sure. Are you a UX designer, Archana?
Researcher.
Researcher. Okay, great. So awesome. I think user research is so rare these days. At least I've in my career, I've met very handful of user research, and I'm absolutely in love with the discipline. But user research requires a very different set of skills. So you don't find many of them in at least the technology ecosystem. Come in. Now, what I've also found, and I'm sure you would agree, is in many products where design team and the product team are working together to create that MVP or prototype that you want to put in front of your customer. there is a lot of friction, if you have noticed, right? Because designers say that we are the best people to make these design decisions. And product managers often come and say, no, we are the people who are going to make the decisions around the product. And ideally, there should be healthy tension, because the goal here is create delightful experiences for the customers. But often that gets escalated to some nasty brawls and unnecessary quibbles. But the point I'm trying to drive at is every product manager should have a working knowledge of design today. And especially if you're working,
I agree.
Especially if you're working on technology products or digital products that touch customers, right? And without working knowledge, and I'm not saying just awareness of UX and UI, they should have working knowledge, because not because they should go and fire up InVision or Sketch or Figma and start doing the design. Now there are product managers who do that, which is not a great idea, but they should know enough to be able to have a meaningful conversation with that designer. And vice versa is true as well. For a lot of designers, you have great customer context, which means you understand the behaviors, aspirations, goals of these users on why they're doing what they're doing. But often you don't have the context on the product, you don't have context on the business aspects of it, which is where it is required, and that will make you a holistic designer, right? So if you want to look at transitioning from design to product, you already have maybe design skills, which is UX design skill, I'm assuming. Now there is a value proposition design that you need to do, right? Which is very different than a core UI or UX skill. The value proposition design is what I call as product design, right? This is not a traditional design. This is now coming up with hypotheses, assumptions, experiments to test it with the customers and come up with a key value proposition of what your product is going to be. And then, of course, every product manager's nightmare is dealing with so many things to do, and everything is a high priority, right? So prioritization, roadmaps, vision, and then coming down to the next level of details for every team to define. Typically in companies that use the agile methodology, it's called definition of done, or user stories, and all of those things, right? So pretty much the whole path. Now, if you're a true product manager role also includes, as I said, interlocking with product marketing, because you know what value you have built in the product. Now you are the best person to articulate that value to a set of people who will communicate that value to the market, right? So the product marketing skills are important. So absolutely, I think, in my view, both product managers should learn design skills, and UX and designers should get into products, right? And that's the way we are actually going to make a really good products in this country. And the skills that are required, and by the way, program, I would recommend you to look at ICPM Flex program, Archana, that is there, which will help you gain those core set of skills, right? Of product skills, basically.
Okay. Yeah? All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Archana, for coming forward and asking a question. So next question is from Rajesh. Rajesh, I'm going to let you talk now. Please go ahead and ask your question. Looks like
I see a pattern here. Shama is being a little biased to people who are raising hand to ask a question on the Q&A.
Sir, not really. I mean, we are kind.
I think that's good, because opening up and asking a question is a lot more effective, and that's a conversation.
Right? Exactly my thoughts, sir. That's the only reason.
Very good.
Okay. So I guess not. Karthik, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello.
Hey, Karthik.
Rajesh here.
Hey,
okay.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Yes. Firstly, Professor Satish, thank you so much for your insights. I really, I'm understanding a lot many. So just to give a backdrop of me, so that it'll help you in while you answer it. So I'm currently a business analyst. So I'm basically 20 years of experience with operations primarily. I'm also a black belt. So I'm more of a data-oriented guy, but I'm trying to move from ops to these areas as such. So one question that I have, and I have a little bit of industry experience, and my role is like a business analyst / product owner. So my question is, how much of a opportunity does one get to move into a product owner? Is it something like relevant experience, or is it only, like X amount of experience? That is one. Second part is, while it depends on organization to organization, and you would have the experience on that, every organization would have a culture, or they have a methodology to it, be it the Amazons or be it the Microsoft, right? They have their own methodology to it.
Yeah.
So end of the day, does a certification and an experience really matter, or is it more to do with their in-house culture that they do, wherein, we can cut across?
Yeah. Now, two great questions there, Rajesh. Now, the first one, so if you look at the business analyst, senior business analyst, principal business analyst, and this new thing, by the way, is relatively new, called product owner in this country, right? It's only been a few years since we started using this and other companies started using this. Now, if you look at it, in my view, I've spoken to, I know a lot of product owners. By the way, their product owner role and title is interestingly different in non-technology companies, right? So there are some manufacturing and pharmaceutical companies which now started using product owner, which is a very senior role. But in technology companies, product owner role, in my view, is a glorified business analyst role, right? If you look at it, a lot of that work that they do is pretty much what business analysts have been doing, interfacing between the people who are asking for certain requirements and people who are solving those requirements or building the solutions for those requirements, right? Most of and I'm sure, as a BA, you have so many frameworks and so many methodologies to do it, but product owner relatively is a new role. So in my view, and in the product world, if you look at it, where companies have been building products, people start with a product owner role and get into product manager role, and senior product manager, principal, group, director, senior director, and all of that. Now, at a certain stage is where, these people will have portfolio responsibilities. Now, when I say portfolio, it is not just about managing the execution or delivery of a portfolio, but essentially P&L responsibilities, right? So you are now accountable for profit and loss, for your finance aspects of it. So in that context, different companies structure these roles differently. But typically, if you take any technology company, any IT company, that's the path that I've talked about. Now, so does experience come into picture? With 20 plus years of experience in senior as a business analyst, I'm not sure if the company that you're working in actually has a title and role of senior or group product managers, but that is equivalent to that in other companies, right? So that's essentially how I would equate that. And what was your second question on that?
Second question was about relevant experience.
Relevant experience. Yeah. Great. So now experience is a funny thing, right? I mean, the way I look at it is if somebody says, I have 10 years experience or 20 years experience or 15 years experience, and this is no comment about you at all. We have to take that as a pinch of salt. Is it 10 years experience or 1 year experience repeated 10 times, right? Now, in the product manager role, different companies have slightly different emphasis and strategic importance of the role. But most of the product managers are expected to function a similar responsibilities or shoulder similar responsibilities, which means as a product manager with that title, and by the way, I'm differentiating between a title and a role, right? Product manager title in many companies is pretty much the same responsibilities, which is inbound. Get requirements, write requirements with clarity, definition, define milestones, work with the teams to get those done, look at demos, and then go back and talk to senior product manager or group product manager to take this to market with product marketing. However, from when it comes to role part of it, and when I say product manager role, it could be any title, right? In that context, there are vast differences between companies. As I said, in my own company that I worked with, not my own company, I mean the company that I worked previously in Oracle, for example, pricing, which is a very, very important aspect of product, is with the responsibility of a product management team. But in many companies, pricing is not. In many companies, competitive intelligence or competitive analysis is a dedicated function of, dedicated responsibility or full responsibility of product management. But in other companies, there are separate. So there are a lot of variations in it. But if you look at holistically on what are the skills that are required for this, all of these things are required for every product manager. Whether you get to use it or not in a company, it depends on how that company is structured and what they emphasize and not. Many technology startups in India, right? I'm not talking about early stage startup, late stage startups. The product manager role is a lot common with what you did as business analyst for many years. It's just a nice fancy title, right? But if you look at bigger companies, large companies like multinationals and those which have been building products, global products for a long time, a product manager role is a much more holistic role. It involves outbound activities as well. Outbound activities include sales enablement, right? Product manager's responsibility is to write white papers, data sheets, create collaterals, and work with product marketing to train the salespeople. So they're quite different things. So hence, instead of looking at whether you will work in B2C company or a startup company or a big company, it is very important to look at it from what are the responsibilities of a product manager overall, and then look at it, the skills that are required to do it. And that is how these programs were created.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you,
time
Rajesh.
for one more question?
Right, sir. So we have a few questions in Q&A, but we have Karthik waiting for us from quite some time. Can we take that question?
Okay, sure. We can do that.
Thank you, Shama. So, and thank you, Satish. So my question was around the same which Rajesh have actually asked. That what is the major difference between a product owner role and a product manager's role? Because I feel that the responsibilities for both the roles scattered. It's something more or less same. So, like, why do people have two different roles in an industry, and like, what is the benefits out of it?
So I've tried to find this answer myself for a long time, and the best I could come up with, and I've spoken to, by the way, many people who have even set up these organizations, right? The best answer that I've come up with is for companies who are transitioning their culture, their work culture, their practices, everything into products and platforms, right? A lot of the services companies are now moving into building platforms so that you can leverage those efficiencies and build products on top of that. These companies emphasize a lot more on the product owner role, right? That's where you see, because suddenly you create a product team, a product organization, and bring in people with product manager titles. In fact, the teams themselves, the leadership teams that are setting up these organizations are even new to how do we even create a performance appraisal system, an evaluation system, a competency framework for this new set of people that we are going to create. And hence, you see, they don't directly go into product manager. But companies who have been building products and have mature product organizations within the company, and I'm talking about all large technology companies, they usually have product managers. Right now, product owner is there in those companies is where they are moving the business analysts into the product function. That's when you see the product owner. So that's my best guess. And if you find a better answer, please tell me. I would also love to know more. Yeah.
Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you so much, Rajesh.
Yep.
Okay.
So in view of the time constraints, we will have to end the Q&A session here. Thanks for the participation, audience. It was really great. Product management is not a subject that you can get answers to within an hour, and hence we have made various platforms available to address all your queries. Reach out to us on our website for detailed information on the ICPM Flex program, or book a 30-minute session with our faculty, like I mentioned before. You can also email us at engage@ipl.edu.in. Thank you, Professor Vedam, for taking the time off of your busy schedule to share your valuable insights.
It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you once again, and have a great night. And audience, thank you for joining in. It was great interacting with you all. Do not forget to register for the upcoming Insights 2020 webinar series. With that note, I end tonight's session. Happy learning and stay skilled. Have a great night. Thank you, Professor.